Hi, I'm Graham Grove. This is my MG SV. It's actually 2004, but uniquely this is a development car for the variant that they never actually got to market. There were three types. There was the standard SV, there was an SVR, and this one was going to be the SVS with a supercharged engine in it. This one is one of four development cars, which they went through the process of getting type approval to sell. And I've been very fortunate to have it. I've had it six years. Had a lot of fun with it. It was obviously it was a development car. When MG Rover went into administration in 2005, it went to the administrators, and it was purchased at an administrator's auction in 2008, and went to a guy in Kent who did little with it. Being a development car, it had no interior in it. It was a number of the panels were cut and some of the test gear was still on it. It was then purchased by another chap in Kent who coincidentally was restoring another MG of mine. And he bought it and restored it to the condition you see today. And out of the blue, one Saturday morning, he phoned me up and said, I know you like it. My wife's told me I've got to sell a car. Are you interested? And of course, it's one of those decisions. You say yes, and you don't regret it. If you say no, it's probably an opportunity that's gone for a long time. They made 82 of the three variants, and just 4 of the supercharged ones. Well, touch wood, it's been fine. I've had some work done on it. There's a guy who's a specialist up in Yorkshire who is ex-MG Rover. He knows them inside out. In fact, he's actually built one from scratch, because there are plenty of parts around. There are a number of body shells and chassis around that, and there are a number of projects on the go up and down the country where people are actually building them. So it's been up to him once for some suspension work. I had to have a couple of catalytic converters put on it because it didn't have any on it, because I think because it was a development car. So I had that done, but other than that, it's fine. I mean, it bangs and crashes over potholes. It's not great in around country lanes, but on A roads and motorways, it's fine. There we go.
What's the engine?
Well, ironically, it's a Ford Mustang engine, 4.6 litre, 2 valves per cylinder, whereas the previous versions were 4 valves, and this one's got he's tuned by a company called Roush, who are an American tuning house in Michigan, who do a lot of work with Ford, and they put the supercharger on it, and the idea was that to put the supercharger on was going to supersede the R version, which had a 5 litre engine as opposed to 4.6. But that was a hand-built engine, quite a costly thing to produce. So I think these were typical Ford. You can buy a Ford crate motor, stick a supercharger on it, and it reduced their production costs.
And what's the output?
It was never actually officially rated in this form, but it's been on a rolling road, and it's doing around about 380 at the rear wheels, which is, I'm told, it equates to about 440 at the flywheel. So it's reasonably powerful.
Yeah.
We don't go mad in it, but it just makes a lovely noise. It makes a lovely sound.
And what's the gearbox?
Tremec 5-speed manual. They did actually make. They made 13 automatics. I think it was 13, but this one's 5-speed manual. They are a bit of a Bitzer car, because obviously you've got a Ford engine, Ford gearbox. It's an Australian rear axle. And interestingly enough, the front headlights are Fiat.
Are they?
Yep. Mark II Fiat Punto. You wouldn't believe it, would you?
No.
But the thing was produced on a tight, or developed on a tight budget. MG Rover had no money. It was foolhardy to produce something like this when.
And was it designed in-house, or who was?
Oh, there's a long history. It actually started as a De Tomaso. De Tomaso were purchased by a company called Cavalli in the States, who marketed it as a Mangusta. MG Rover bought Cavalli for 7 million in, I think it was the year 2000. And they took all the tooling and the design, and it was completely redesigned by a guy called Peter Stevens, famous for the McLaren F1. Because the original design, there's a photo of it around the corner, was a pretty ugly looking thing. So Peter Stevens redesigned it in carbon fibre. It's all carbon fibre. And I think it's actually aged well. For something that was designed in year 2000, 2001, you probably wouldn't recognise it as such. There's 26, 28 in the UK. I made 82 in total. 4 of these. There's about 26, 28 on the road in the UK. And for the last 4 years, we've been to the Concourse of Elegance at Hampton Court. And I think the maximum we've had there is 13. It's quite a sight to see them all lined up. But you don't see many of them on the road, I suppose, for obvious reasons. I think if they hadn't failed, and ironically enough, it wasn't produced by MG Rover, it was produced by a subsidiary, MG Sports and Racing, which were a very viable business. But when the parent company went down, it took MG Sports and Racing with it. And I think if Sports and Racing had survived, it would have sold. It was never going to be a big seller. They tooled up to make 500 in year 1. And so they probably would have met that sales target. And you would have seen a lot more of them around. But some people don't recognise it as a real MG, but it's an integral part of the brand's history.